Right, hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going through 5 books that I've read recently and 5 series that I've read recently, and I thought I'd tell you kind of what I've been reading and give you some recommendations. I thought hopefully this video might help some readers that are looking for the next kind of story to start, or it might help some new readers trying to find a story that they'll enjoy. So yeah, if you're going to enjoy this video, please leave a like down below. Consider subscribing and leave a comment telling me what you thought. It all really helps the channel, and yeah, thanks. So without further ado, let's get into it. So one of the first books that I read in, July, was A Shirtless Bear Fighter. I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see that? This was recommended to me on Instagram when I asked for recommendations, and the name alone sold it to me. I just thought, what a weird kind of story. It sounds kind of stupid and fun. So let's give it a read. So I got this quite cheap off Amazon, got it used, and it came and it's pretty much brand new. I really enjoyed the story. So what is the story? Well, there's this guy who lives in the woods called Shirtless, and he's basically raised by bears, and you gotta just keep an open mind about this. I know it sounds stupid, but believe me, the book is really good. It's great storytelling. There's some really great action scenes in this. It hits all the right kind of story beats, and yeah, I won't go too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for you. I knew nothing about this going into it other than that it has a funny title, so that's kind of what sold it for me. Yeah, Shirtless Bear Fighter I read kind of the start of July. Then from that I went on to read, and this is Donny Cates and Jeff Shaw's God Country. So I did my Beyond the Page episode on Donny Cates and was looking to read God Country and some of his other books, and then I got it in one of my unboxing videos. I unboxed it and then I went on to read it after reading Shirtless Bear Fighter, and this book deals with some really great things. It deals with Alzheimer's in a way that no other comic really does, and as someone who has been affected by people being affected by Alzheimer's, I kind of really gravitated towards it, if that makes any sense to anybody. I really kind of understood the character of Quinlan, and I really enjoyed the story. It's really great, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's the art style by Jeff Shaw is really something. It kind of took me maybe a couple issues to get used to, but I enjoyed it a lot. This is, I think, 6 issues. I think it's 6 issues, maybe 7, I can't quite remember. But yeah, this deals with Quinlan. It is Quinlan, isn't it? Let me make sure. It's Emmett Quinlan, who has Alzheimer's, and he picks up the sword of Valifax, and he suddenly remembers everything. But because he's picked up the sword of Valifax, it means that other gods are coming to kill him. Yeah, really enjoyed this, and this is kind of one of Donny Cates' first things. So it was really nice to kind of see how he started out, and as someone that hadn't read Donny Cates before, I look forward to maybe going on to read Cosmic Ghost Rider or King in Black or anything like that. So yeah, that's God Country. That is a standalone series. Then from there, I kind of went on a bit of a Donny Cates binge, and Jeff Shaw. I read Crossover, Volume 1, Kids Love Chains. This was really interesting. I really liked the art in this because this deals with comic book characters coming out of comic books into the real world, but the way they're drawn in the real world is that they all have these kind of like polka dots on them, kind of the classic comic book style from like the 50s and 60s, and I really enjoyed it and thought it was weird and funny and different. And yeah, Donny Cates' writing in this might not be for everybody, but it was for me, and I quite liked it. I would like to read Volume 2 when it comes out. I'm going to get these in the trade paperbacks. I did put a poll up on my Instagram and everyone voted trade paperback, so wait for Volume 2 of this and get it. Yeah, I don't really want to spoil anything from any of these books, but I would recommend Crossover. It's still coming out in single issues, so if any of you have read it or want to hop on it, then definitely go for it. Okay, and then to finish off my Donny Cates binge, I read Buzzkill. Now, Buzzkill, just like God Country, is another self-contained story, and I loved this. I really enjoyed this, more so than God Country, and possibly more so than Crossover. This deals with addiction and a superhero fighting addiction whilst succumbing to addiction. Addiction is the thing that gives him his powers, you know. He get any kind of drug, gets powers from it. So even things like caffeine, which are technically, yes, they're addictive, they're a drug, he gets powers from them. And it was really cool to kind of see to see how this character deals with that, and deals with the fact that he has these massive battles that he can't remember because he's blackout drunk. It's just started raining really heavily, so if any of you can hear that, that's what that sound is. I am sorry. Hopefully I'll get a microphone soon. But yeah, so really enjoyed this, and yeah, I don't really want to spoil it, like much like the others. The final issue is a little bit maybe like hit and miss for some people. There was something that kind of happens in it that you're a bit like, oh, okay. Basically the identity of the villain who he fought beforehand is revealed to be somebody, I don't want to spoil it, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, bit like cliche, but I liked it, and I really liked the sense of world building you got from this. You know, you're introduced to sort of a version of like the Justice League-esque type people, like Guardians of the Globe, Justice League, kind of like, you know, team. And they're only really in it once, but the sense of world building you got from it, and the sense of world building you get from this whole book, for it to be a standalone book, I really enjoyed it. You know, I felt like this universe was bigger than this book. So yeah, that is Buzzkill. Then I read 2 series this month. Or not this month, but you know, recently, over July, August. So let me start with this one. So this is Nailbiter by Williamson and Henderson. So we have the original story, which is 6 trade paperbacks of Nailbiter, and let me tell you, this starts off really, really brilliantly. The story is like that of Silence of the Lambs, and it's mixed in with all these questions you have about this town in Buckaroo, Oregon, who the producer seemingly produces serial killers. You know, 16 people that have come from this town have turned out to be mass serial killers. And it started out really interesting, really intriguing. You have characters Finch and I can't remember if his name, Crane. They work together, kind of in a Silence of the Lambs type thing, to work out who this new serial killer is in this town that everybody thinks it's Edward Warren, the Nailbiter. It started out really strong, and I really enjoyed it. And you could probably tell in my unboxing videos that I was doing when I was buying this that I was loving the series. Well, I went back and read it. I binged it all in one go, the entire series, all 40-something issues, I think. I can't remember what there is. 30 issues in this, and then you have the Nailbiter Returns, 10 issues of Nailbiter Returns so far. So I really enjoyed it until the ending of the original series. I think, I'm not sure whether or not the writers knew what the ending would be going in, or whether or not they wrote themselves into a corner or what, but it just kind of seemed to buckle, if that makes any sense. It kind of seemed just to buckle a bit at the last hurdle. You have all these things that were being set up, and when you kind of found out what was happening, it didn't really live up to the expectations that you'd made throughout these first like 4 books or something. And yeah, the ending itself to the series was, I wasn't a fan of it, but I knew that there was Nailbiter Returns, and I thought, well, if this has ended, how is there Nailbiter Returns? Well, in Nailbiter Returns, there is a kind of like a twist that retroactively, you know, changes the ending to this, which I really enjoyed. And Nailbiter Returns, you definitely need to read Nailbiter before you read this. But the villain in this, I really enjoyed. Enjoyed the kind of backstory you got. I enjoyed, yeah, everything about it, kind of. So, although it started out really well, and the ending to this series, kind of the middle of the story, let it down a bit, I thought Nailbiter Returns kind of, you know, picked up a bit of that slack, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it is still ongoing because, yeah, I don't know if there's issue 11 coming out of Nailbiter Returns anytime soon. I tried to have a look on Google, but I couldn't really see much, and yeah, the way it ends, it kind of sets it up for more of a story, but I don't know where they're going to go with it. So anyway, that is Nailbiter, which is kind of like a horror, like I say, Silence of the Lambs type thing. So if you're interested in that, then you should read that. Okay, and then lastly, of the 5 that I have read, the 5 stories, the 5 kind of series that I've read, is Robert Kirkman's Outcast. Now, as I've said in my unboxings, this was a series that I bought a long time ago, the first volume, and it took me years to read, and then when I did, I started binging it. Well, I went back and I reread, much like I did with Nailbiter, I reread the first 3 or 4 books and absolutely loved this. Yeah, absolutely loved it. This series really took a turn halfway through and kind of changed where it was going, where it was heading. There's a really great afterword by Robert Kirkman in this final volume that explains that when he was writing the book, he was also writing the TV show alongside it that came out that was cancelled. And that was because, you know, The Walking Dead was so successful, The Walking Dead TV show was so successful, they were all asking, what are you going to do next? What are you doing next? And he said, I have an idea for Outcast, but it's not fully fledged. And they said, yeah, we'll greenlight it, we'll do it. So he basically wrote the TV script for the pilot before he wrote this, which is really interesting. There's some really cool things that he does in this that you can really see. It was written for telly, for TV, if that makes any sense. There's these small panels throughout the book, throughout the panels, that, you know, are like a shot, reverse shot on TV. But this story is the story of Kyle Barnes, who has always kind of drawn negative energy to him. He's always kind of been plagued by people around him getting ill. And when I say getting ill, I mean getting possessed by demons. So with the help of Reverend Anderson, they set out originally to kind of rid the town of this evil and try and learn a little bit more about the powers that Kyle has and that how he's able to, you know, stop these people that are possessed. And then about halfway through, maybe about issue, here we go, volume 5, it really just changes direction. It's really cool, it changes direction. I was kind of expecting a grounded series about this one guy, and then maybe it is this, maybe it isn't this, but then issue 5, somebody's introduced that has a relationship to Kyle, and yeah, then throughout the rest of the books and the story, we get introduced to new characters, and then it all culminates with this big event called the Merge, which happens in the end of, I think it happens in the end of book 7 actually, and then book 8 is kind of the fallout of that. And that's something I think Robert Kirkman is really, really great at doing. He writes arcs so well. You have in Invincible, you have the Viltrumite War, you have the war with Angstrom Levy, you have everything that Mark Grayson's trying to become a superhero. He has all these different things, and this happened with Kyle. You kind of had the first arc here in the first 4 books, and then the second arc in the second 4. At least it felt that way to me. So it was really cool to see that. Yeah, it's really cool to see it, and to see how Kyle starts out as this guy who has nothing, and by the end of the book he's a completely changed character. I really enjoy the way Robert Kirkman is able to do that, and his writing style and everything. And like with Invincible, it's the same with The Walking Dead. You know, you have everything that happens at the prison, then you have everything with Negan, then you have the Whisperers War. And it's just like, one thing Robert Kirkman does is he writes wars in his comics, and the dramatic effect that can have, you know, it's like nothing else really. At least to me, I really, really like it. So, that was Outcast by Robert Kirkman, and that ends the list for this video. They are the 5 kind of stories that I've been reading this month. I didn't just want to, you know, bring out one Outcast book and just be like, oh, I've read this, but I've not read the other 5. I wanted to actually talk about it, and that's why I read it. So, yeah, really enjoyed Outcast. Enjoyed Nailbiter for the most part. Really enjoyed Buzzkill. Enjoyed Crossover, enjoyed God Country, and really enjoyed Shirtless Bear Fighter. Yeah, they're all books that are somewhat silly, like Shirtless Bear Fighter, Crossover. Then you have ones that are a bit more hard-hitting, like Buzzkill, God Country, Outcast can be at times, and then the two kind of horror. These are mainly just like horror series that I really loved. So that's it for this video. I will probably do another, 5 recent reads / recommendations that when I've read 5 more books. So if you want that, then make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell notification so you don't miss a video and you get notified when I upload. And yeah, share this video with your friends, share the channel with your friends. If you know anyone that's interested in comics or you think might like this video or my content, then feel free, share it around. It all helps me out. So, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll speak to you later. Bye.